talking yesterday about the election probably going to be called by Sunday, and apparently, although there was no official word, it's pretty well been all over the news today that Sunday they're going to call an election, and it'll be either April 28th or May 5th, which is pretty short, pretty quick, short and sweet. So, and we kind of saw like if you're watching TV, you'd see election style ads already. So it's it's pretty well confirmed after all this time and speculation of what way Carney was going to go, and how Trudeau and Jagmeet were avoiding the election at all costs. Now here we are on the cusp of a very interesting and important election in Canada. I think there's going to be a lot of political realignment coming along. You got the NDP, who are collapsed in single digits. Now, it might be just a thing. I think it's like people are banning the NDP because they're panicking about Trump and they're scared and they want to just, do whatever they can to prevent like the Conservatives from winning. So that's why they're going to support the Liberals this time, let's say. So, but Jagmeet might not even win his own seat. Like, he's not looking very good. So then and then the Conservative Party, if they lose again to a very vulnerable Liberal Party, especially if the Liberals get a majority this time, there'll be a lot of questions being asked in that party. It was like, whoa, what are we doing? How many elections can we screw up? So then the Liberals, geez, I don't know. They've pretty well gone through a kind of a mini shakeup in the sense they got Trudeau out of there, and now Carney's kind of putting his team of candidates. A lot of high-profile candidates will start emerging out of the woodwork. One of them, Evan Solomon, from his Eurasia group and former journalist, CBC and CTV, going to be one of his high-profile MP. I think the Edmonton mayor is going to run. Some other mayors, too, getting on Carney's team. So the Liberals have kind of had this quick shake-up. I mean, they're very good at switching it up. I guess they've been the party for 100 years there, so but there'll be a lot of questions answered depending on the election outcome. Of course, if the Liberals lose and the polls are bullshit, regardless, there's going to be change in the political landscape. Just crazy stuff. So yeah, that's the first thing. Sunday they'll call an election. And then see how the parties do. I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting election. Like, very obviously unusual circumstances, and it's gonna be fun to watch. I'm gonna admit it's gonna be fun to watch. I'm looking forward to it. And I saw Carney was, like, we were talking about, another thing we were talking about with Carney is, like, he's an ultra globalist. Totally, I don't like him. I don't agree with any of his policies, but he's being more of a Canadian nationalist type than Carney, than Poilievre, which is hilarious. Like, he was saying how he was touting Canada's European roots. Poilievre barely talks about. I don't think he ever says that. He was in the Notre Dame Cathedral instead of a mosque or a girder one like Doug Ford was at or Pierre Poilievre was at, or Trudeau. And that's intentional. He's doing that on purpose. It's all about image. And then he goes to the Arctic, and then he's in the ice with the Edmonton Oilers today. So, I mean, He's outsmarting Pierre. He's making Pierre look like just this geek in a suit who can't relate to like he's just this career politician, and they're painting him as that, the liberals, and they're succeeding because Pierre, maybe that's what he is, just not much there, I guess, because he's not really doing it for many. A lot of the conservatives are starting to like they love Pierre because he was like not Trudeau. He was gonna be the not Trudeau candidate, and now that Trudeau's gone, it's like he's not standing on his own credentials. Like, he's been in Parliament 20 years. What's he done? Really? So, maybe he'll turn it around. Maybe he'll catch fire. I don't know. I think you need an actual conservative. Like, Doug Ford's not a conservative. Aaron O'Toole wasn't a conservative. And Pierre's starting to look like a fake conservative. Started looking a while ago. So, and you got Max Bernier, who's trying to make a breakthrough, kind of like a la the Reform Party did in the 90s. He's going on some podcasts. I think he was on Patrick Bet-David and another guy from Florida, from Texas. Some health doctor or something. So maybe he'll get in the debates or something and spice things up. Should be interesting. They'll find a reason to keep him out. And then and that's it. And then there was also an article today. We can't look at it because it's under a paywall. Behind a paywall for the Toronto Star saying, but it basically confirms what we already knew, but I'm sure we'll find out why, is Doug Ford doesn't have time to help Pierre or something. They did this piece in the Star that Doug Ford's not helping Pierre, which is obvious. I mean, he's a liberal. He's governed hand in hand with Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland, and he's going to do the same with Mark Carney. So it's hilarious seeing him and Pierre not talking to each other. Like, it's like, what's going on with that? That's kind of weird. You'd think he'd be cordial at least, have a meeting with him like that. That's potential prime minister in waiting, right? You'd think the premier of the biggest province in Canada would have like a cordial meeting with the leader of the opposition once in a while. Like, it's not out of the realm of normal. Like, it's a pretty normal thing, especially when Pierre was polling. And I believe Doug helped Mr. O'Toole last election either. So maybe, I don't know. Canadian politics, maybe it's just the thing that the Ontario guys don't get involved. But I don't know if that's true. And then we got this flag business and all this crazy stuff going on in Canada. They're driving all this like anti-American thing, and it kind of reminds me of like in Orwell's 1984 when they had these hate rallies and you'd have to yell and show your hate towards whatever they told you to hate, and that's what it reminds me of. And yeah, you can be mad and you can be upset with comments by some people, the Americans, and not all of them, but some of them, but just to go blind hate is not good for you, let alone the American thing, but especially it's not good for you. And the government's kind of promoting that. It's not really healthy to promote hate, even if you might think you're justified. It'll eat at your soul. So what they're saying is, okay, boycott American products. Okay, cancel your American trip. Okay, now they're saying take down your American flags. We're going to take down our flags, the American flags at like city arenas and stuff. And then they're going to Now, and then they're saying, um, and it just gets worse, right? And we had a place. My dad has a place here in Sarnia, and we have a couple TVs. And sometimes we have it on Fox News. Sometimes we have it on CNN. During the American election, we had it on Fox and CNN a lot. During when Trudeau resigned in the Canadian provincial election, we had it on CTV. Nothing nefarious, but this weird couple come in, and apparently they're good customers, and they got all triggered because we had on Fox at that particular time. And my father was sitting there, and he was sitting with some customers, and they came up to him because the server pointed out that the owner was there. Like, they really made a big incident out of it. And anyway, they left and basically called it like a MAGA restaurant, which it isn't. It's just a restaurant that happened to have Fox on, and Fox has the big letters, and it's easy to read if you're just sitting there eating. It's not an ideological thing. Anyway, but that's what we lead to when you hate. It just gets out of control. Like, it feels good. It's like a drug. It feels kind of satisfying at the time, but you don't understand. You're eating a little bit of you when you. And then, so like our mayor here, our dumbass mayor here in Sarnia, he was a COVID commie. Mike Bradley, during COVID, he was the worst mayor ever. He was like just so divisive and such an ignorant person when it come to his unvaccinated citizens. He was just it's a good thing he wasn't in control of like a bigger geographic area, because he was a tyrant without an army, thankfully. And now he wants to basically called it economic terrorism, the trade whatever things of the states, and now he wants to take off the U.S. flag, and he wants to take down U.S. flags throughout the city, and we're a border town. Like, we're very, we can see the U.S. from the other side of the river, so he's starting to get this, encourage this mass psychosis of hate against the U.S. And maybe it's justified. I don't know. At the end of the day, you don't know. But there's better ways to channel your energy to solve a problem than an irrational hate policies. Like, it's kind of pathetic, really. And it doesn't really solve anything. Like booing the anthem. That's where it really started, booing the anthem. How could I forget that? Duh. And we got the Blue Jays starting up next week. We'll see how that works. But that's when you start something like that, it's hard to bottle it back up. They did it with COVID. Look how hard that genie took, a trucker convoy to bottle that genie back up. Right? So whether you think you're justified, and I'm not going to defend Donald Trump, but I'm not going to defend these traitors who've been running Canada either. That's what that's what are you going to do? What to do? So we can't get off our rocker and go all COVID commie again on people just because, and there is a diverse opinion too. Like, some people are Team Canada, some people Team Canada, no questions asked. Some people are get me the hell out of Canada. Some people want to become 51st state. Some people are basically think Canada's past saving. They, and some are just patriots who want to keep fighting. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy diverse. So the psychosis of hating anything U.S. related, as I'm sitting here draped in Canadian flags, but hating on U.S. Everything, it's not good. It's not good for us. It's not going to help us beat the U.S., and it's not good for us. It's bad. And they're like the booing at the games. You think you're booing the states, but you're really booing yourself. Because, it might feel good to boo it, but you're booing yourself. And then now we got this flag. Carolyn Parrish started this, and now all the other dumb mayors are taking part. Because they're all dummies. They all did the same thing with COVID. They all did the mask thing. They all did that. They all did the vax pass. Now they're all taking the flags down. Holy shit! Why do we have a mayor? Why do we even have mayors? Elections when they all do the same thing. Yeah, so you got some serious craziness happening. And, you know, at first you can laugh about it because you think, we've been good with the states for a long time. So you kind of laugh about it and say, oh, whatever. But this is the same thing with COVID. You kind of laughed at that at first, too. Like it was like a zombie movie or something. And then it kept going. And like I said, without that trucker, I believe that trucker convoy kind of saved the world because they were freaked out over that shit. And a lot of people in other countries were stirred up with it. So if that didn't happen, you'd see that COVID shit was keep going. And same thing, this thing keeps, things like this can keep rolling and are hard to unroll or stop rolling. Be careful. That's the lesson we want to learn there. So, other than that, the bottom line though, before we go to our daily recall on X, my day on X, the bottom line is we are in an era of a massive change, globally, nationally, locally, just basically everything. So buckle up and be ready for anything. So it's all you can do. I'm not, just buckle up. Buckle up. It sounds like one of Pierre's stupid slogans. All right. So go to daily recall here. All right. So Thursday today, tomorrow I believe the premiers and Prime Minister Carney meet tomorrow. Sorry. I think they have a virtual meeting tomorrow, and then the election call comes on Sunday. So today, not much. Not much on like the news. Like even Carney, besides his Edmonton Oilers skate, he was all right. Let's go with the daily recall. First article. A lot of cocaine. FYI, it was coming into Canada from the U.S. cocaine. Border agent sees 11 million in suspected cocaine near Sarnia. So we have a bridge here that goes to Port Huron, Michigan. It's one of the busiest border crossings in North America. And a lot of trucks go through there. So yeah, they find a lot of big shipments. Cocaine, a lot of it coming into Canada, really, but I'm sure there's some goes both ways. I wonder if they have the 400 kilograms of cocaine. That's a lot of cocaine. Wow. That's a big lot of coke. Okay. $11 million worth of suspected cocaine. I guess they didn't try it yet. From trucks trying to enter the country near Sarnia, Ontario. 2 commercial trucks that had crossed via the Blue Water Bridge, bound for Canada from the United States. 2 commercial shipments. Based on that information, border officials pulled the first truck into the secondary inspection. Duffel bags in the trailer containing 86 kilograms. 1 week later, sent a second commercial truck to secondary. What the hell does that mean? Okay, sorry. Secondary is like where they go and inspect you. Okay, that's what they meant. I was like, what the hell does secondary mean? So it's 2 different trucks they pulled. So 2 drivers, 23-year-old from Brampton. Really? I'm shocked. And a 34-year-old from Innisfil. I wonder if they're still in jail. They're both in RCMP in custody. Yeah, I don't know what their names are, though. Okay. Yeah, a lot of drugs coming into Canada through Sarnia, but a lot of trucks. I know they don't search every truck. All right, next post. Some little interesting stuff on the Mossad. I'm going to take it in dribs and drabs because there's so much. In 1991, the Mossad tried to assassinate George H.W. Bush. And ultimately, this failed thanks to Mossad whistleblower warned former Republican Senator Pete McCloskey. This is well documented, and Senator McCloskey publicly shared this as well. Hold on, guys.
He fled to Canada, and in 1991, the Israeli Mossad had a plan for assassination on former President George H.W. Bush. This came from a former Israeli Mossad agent himself, Victor Ostrowski, in his 1994 book, Other Side of Deception. If you haven't heard of Victor Ostrowski, I highly urge you to read his 1990 publication, By Way of Deception. Against Ostrowski, his Wikipedia is one of the most edited. Accused the U.S. president as being an anti-Semite and a liar. President Bush then threatens AIPAC by stating he would veto any legislation that is passed by Congress. I'm up against some powerful political forces. We've got one lonely little guy down here doing it. The reason he was so set on not giving the funds is because there was a Middle East peace conference in Madrid of that year, and he knew the prospects of billions of dollars of U.S. aid funding to illegal Israeli settlements would certainly alienate the Arab delegates. Follow me for part 2. This gets
Yeah, I remember that. He didn't want the Israelis building settlements, and he's only a one-term president. I bet you that's why. And here's Ben Shapiro. He's getting a lot of reaction today on his take on the JFK files. He just wants people to forget about it.
Wink, wink, nod, nod. sort of conspiracy theorizing that's become incredibly popular on the right these days. It was popular on the left, and now it's become increasingly popular on the right. The kind of, let's just ask questions. We'll ask, who really killed JFK? Wink, wink, nod, nod. And then you're like, well, do you have any evidence of the thing that you are presupposing? Well, no, I'm not making any accusations. I just know I don't believe the story that I'm being told. I know not to trust the authorities. You're like, well, that's fine, but do you have like any evidence? Like evidence, not just supposition. I said, well, you're part of it, aren't you? Yes, you're part of it. The reason that you're so defensive.
He does look a part of it, actually.
I don't care who killed JFK. I mean, I do, because it's really interesting. But
guilty.
I noticed that the calendar says 2025, and he was killed in 1963. And so my opinion about who killed JFK has about as much relevance as who killed William McKinley, or James Garfield, which is to say not an enormous amount.
It's our fault. Why are we dwelling on it? You know, why do you want to know who killed JFK, you guys? Yeah, Daily Wire. I actually used to watch their videos, but not very long. And then it got so insufferable, especially after October 7th. Even before then, I didn't like them, but especially after they really destroyed their brand. And Jordan Peterson, the minute he went over to Daily Wire, he went to shit. Like his brain fried or something. I don't know. He must have bought a bunch of coke with all the money they gave him, because his brain was toast after that place got done with him. And now, no, I don't think anybody watches Daily Wire now. Look at this little demon. I don't watch this guy. Look at him. He looks worse every time you see him. He knows he's toast. Nobody likes you, Ben. Go to Israel. Okay. I don't know who this kid is, this little goy. Oh, he blocked me. I wonder why. Okay. Oh. No, I won't post. Yeah, okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, yeah, he really destroyed the Daily Wire there. This is another thing. This is another thing that a lot of people don't know. I've been following this since the 90s, because I'm pretty old. And this stuff was all true. Like, I remember Bush was almost assassinated by, well, not almost assassinated, but there was like this supposed assassination plot by Iraq, but probably it was Mossad, and they were going to blame it on Iraq because they were pissed at Bush that he didn't go to, he didn't take out Saddam. He let Saddam stay in power. They were pissed about that, and they were pissed that he's getting all lippy with them. So he ended up being a one-term president. But this is the thing that probably got JFK killed.
Millions. You can still find him on. Most people do not know who this man is, but if you're an American, you definitely should.
Yeah.
Mordechai Vanunu is the Israeli nuclear engineer and whistleblower who
All right,
stated
I know who
that
he is.
Israel assassinated John F. Kennedy so they could continue developing nuclear weapons. In 1988, he was actually charged with 18 years in Israeli prison for sharing Israel's nuclear weapons program with the world. In an interview with El Hayat newspaper based out of London, Vanunu said he had near certain indications Kennedy was assassinated due to pressure he exerted on then head of government David Ben-Gurion to shed light on Damona's nuclear reactor. We do not know which irresponsible Israeli prime minister will take office and decide to use nuclear weapons in the struggle against neighboring Arab countries. What has already been exposed about the weapons Israel is holding can destroy the region and kill millions. You can still find him on social media, although he is not allowed to respond back to foreigners. He was released from Israeli prison back in 2004, but still with severe restrictions. His last post on X was actually in July of this year, stating, now they renew all the restrictions, no to leave the country, no to meet, no to write to foreigners, another year. Super crazy stuff. Search him up if you want to go down a rabbit hole, and shoot me a follow if you like this video.
Yeah, all this is true. Like, I remember this guy. Okay. Next post. All right. Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow supports removing U.S. flags from city's property wherever possible. So she's following after Karen Parrish. You have Mississauga who wants to do this. I don't know why. All it's going to do is, usually the flag is kind of to honor the soldiers and stuff. So whatever. Anyway, I don't want to get in the right wrong, but between booing the anthem and doing the flags and doing who knows what else, it's not going to help us. So I've already made my decision. But anyway, yeah, our mayor, he has to get in on the action. Our mayor has to get on the action. Olivia Chow has to get in on the action because they love to see their names. And they don't want to be looking like they're not doing anything. Instead of doing their job. Hold on. Instead of doing their job, like filling some goddamn potholes. So, our mayor wants to do the same here in Sarnia. He was on the radio today. Bradley was a divisive COVID commie during the scamdemic, and during her 3 years as mayor, the city has gone to crap. Mike Bradley, Sarnia mayor. But yeah, let's remove some American flags. That will fix everything wrong with Commie Canada. Yeah. The flag is one thing. What's next? All right. This is another one of Mark Carney's high-profile MP hopefuls for the next coming election. Evan Solomon, he's a former journalist for CBC and CTV. Globalist, total globalist. Now he worked at Eurasia Group, which is where Carney's wife works and where Trudeau's friend and ex-chief staff works, Gerald Butts. Globalist think tank. Evan Solomon is running to be a Liberal MP. This was from 10 years ago when he was fired from CBC for allegedly brokering art deals with individuals, including Mark Carney. It's all in this report. He's also worked for the Eurasia Group and G0, where Mark Carney's wife works. They are all in this together. Yes, they are. It's next thing you know, Trudeau will go to Eurasia, get a job there, because it's probably the only ones that'll hire him. Payback, because Trudeau gave that organization a lot of contracts. So if he goes to Eurasia as a consultant, I'm sure quid pro quo. All right. I might as well watch this. I remember he was selling art on the side, and he was asked by the bosses at CBC, and he said, no. And then they found out he lied, and they fired him.
Saying that he has no ongoing or enduring relationship with Evan Solomon, and that he does not.
He's a Liberal
Evan
MP,
Solomon
hopeful.
Is gone from the CBC. The former host of Power and Politics on this network, CBC News Network, and The House on CBC Radio, was fired last night after a report alleging he brokered art deals with people with whom he was involved as a journalist. James Murray leads off our coverage now live with me this morning. James, tell us more about the allegations at issue here.
Well, allegations that were first raised by Toronto Star investigative journalist Kevin Donlan, who said that after an investigation into Evan's private business affairs away from the CBC, that they had uncovered a sort of secret sideline in art dealership. Apparently, Evan Solomon had a long-standing relationship with a man who most Canadians would never have heard of, but is very well known in world art circles as an art collector, and it seems someone who is trying to unload some of his paintings. It seems a deal was struck for a commission, a 10% commission that was done in secret. If Evan Solomon, it seems, could introduce this art collector to some famous and influential people like Jim Balsillie, formerly of Research in Motion and BlackBerry, and Mark Carney, who was the governor of the Bank of Canada, now the governor of the Bank of England. Apparently, much of this went on without the CBC knowing anything about it until recently, it seems. We're hearing that that the CBC only recently found out about this. Kevin Donovan and the Toronto Star came to the CBC this week with very specific allegations, and it only took about a day and a half before Evan Solomon was suspended and then let go from the CBC.
And in response to that shock firing last night, James, what kind of reaction are we hearing today?
Well, none of the people involved, Heather, despite many of them making their living doing broadcast interviews, are willing to do broadcast interviews today. The CBC has only issued a written statement. There was a statement yesterday that was emailed to employees from our editor-in-chief. For public notice, Chuck Thompson, our head of our CBC Media Relations, issued this written statement saying, based on information that's come to our attention, we've determined that some of Evan Solomon's activities were inconsistent with our conflict of interest and ethics policy, as well as our journalistic standards and practices. That's a written statement that was released from Chuck Thompson.
All right, so that's a little backstory on one of Carney's star MPs running in this election. God, you know, the guy shouldn't have been. Anybody else would have got run out of the business for doing that kind of stuff. But no, he gets rewarded. Keeps getting rewarded up. This guy. Oh, next post. This is so Adolescence on Netflix. I canceled my Netflix a long time ago. And Britain is going all, the establishment in Britain is going all gaga. I think it's bullshit. It's like they make this kid, this white kid, this crazy psycho killer. And then that's fine. You can do a show like that. But then they're trying to make it like part of the school curriculum, like basically implying that every white kid is the problem in British society. Like, it's such classic woke bullshit. Britain is in so much trouble. Great Britain has gone full retard. I thought Canada was screwed, but not as bad as the UK. Last time I checked, young white Andrew Tate fans aren't knifing people or running over crowds with vehicles. Total bullocks. So yeah, Britain's screwed. All right. That's my little cultural 2 cents. So there's the headlines today. Carney will ask Governor General to dissolve Parliament Sunday, call election. Pretty well confirmed without being confirmed. Next post, there's Evan Solomon, fired for brokering art deals with people. But he's still getting promoted up the ladder, this guy. I wonder why. All right. Pierre Poilievre's next post. Pierre Poilievre says Canada should be the richest country in the world due to our resources, and he's right. We should be. The reason we're not is because we've been sold down the river by both liberals and conservatives for decades. Yes.
Get the job done. So why aren't we the richest country? And we should be the richest.
He's not
country
really
in the
clicking
world,
with
by the way.
voters.
We have the second biggest land mass, the third biggest proven oil reserves, the sixth biggest lithium reserves, the biggest uranium and potash reserves, the biggest oceanic coastline of any country in the world, 154 million acres of farmland. We have an abundance of energy that can power these massive data centers, and we have the cold weather to cool them. We have 41 million highly educated, hardworking people ready to get the job done. So why aren't we the richest country in the world? Why have we lost $500 billion to the Americans and had the worst economic growth of all our competitors over the last 10 years? Why has our per capita GDP gone up so slow? In fact, the American per capita GDP has gone up 40 times faster than Canada's over the last decade. Well, that is the lost liberal decade of blocking, taxing, and driving away business. A decade during which the Liberals were in power and Mark Carney was, for half of that time, the...
Right. That's his message. Evan, big news today. I guarantee you I'm going to bet Trudeau gets hired at G0 or Eurasia Group. That's the main. He needs a job. Give the guy a job. We got Jason Kenney popping his head up. I don't know what he wants, who he thinks he is. He thinks he's like kind of the statesman in Canada, like an elder statesman, because he was an MP and a cabinet minister and then a premier. Yeah, I call him a little weasel. And so I don't know what he's angling for. He's a little weasel. Put the vax pass in Alberta after saying he wasn't. Then he resigned in disgrace because he was actually got ousted. No, he passed, but he resigned anyway because he didn't get a. So anyways, he says, I see some liberals are skeptical of Trump's expressed preference for their party and dislike of Pierre Poilievre. Here's something they should understand about Donald Trump. He reserves his greatest disdain for conservatives who don't kiss the ring. John McCain, Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, Mike Pence, Chris Christie. So this dummy, Jason Kenney, is saying these guys are examples of people that stood up to Donald Trump. Yeah, he's naming like the worst Republicans, like that people hate, like almost universally. You got John McCain, who was a warmonger and part of the reason we had the Ukraine war. Mitch McConnell, who's just a decrepit old corrupt, uniparty swamp creature. Paul Ryan, an executive over Fox, who's just a globalist traitor, really. Mike Pence, I don't have to say anything about Mike Pence. We already know him. Chris Christie, this fat blob from New Jersey. Like, come on, shut up, Jason Kenney. If you're in that group of Republicans, it's not something to be proud of. Dummy. So yeah, Jason Kenney carries no weight. Look at that. He's got the Canadian, the Ukrainian, and the Israeli. What a fucking little loser. So I said, Trump would hate your weasel ass too, Kenny. I agree, 100%. There's Tim Waltz from yesterday. Oh. There it is, folks. Liberals are striking while the iron is hot, and Pierre's not. Yes, that's this theme. Like, Pierre, it's not that Carney's like this Trudeau type, like the Pierre Trudeau type, Trudeau mania type guy at all. But Pierre's not exciting anybody, and he's disappointing a lot of his followers with his just wishy-washiness. And his, he's basically said he's not going to do anything radical with immigration. All right. And this is him today. I don't know, he looked like he was almost fake, this video. He's trying to be funny. He's trying to make jokes, and I didn't find this funny. And I find him authentic. I think he's just trying to be someone he's not. He should just try and be himself. But let's listen to this.
By noon and selling fentanyl by 2 in the afternoon if he's getting caught. Each of these guys was arrested once every 2 days. And
so he's talking about repeat offenders and the lax criminal justice system. So he's joking about it. If you're a victim of a violent crime, I don't think that's something you'd like to hear, but we'll see.
Just the times they got caught. I mean, that's hard work, right? These guys, they're not unionized. They don't have benefits. The guy's got to be up at the crack of dawn to rob a bank. He's carjacking by noon and selling fentanyl by 2 in the afternoon if he's getting caught every 2 days. They do get room and board, though. They stay at the Hotel California. They check out, but they never really leave, right?
All right, so there.
Did you know that?
I don't know. That didn't seem like very prime ministerial, or just, I don't know. Maybe I'm nitpicking, or maybe I'm just not a. Anyway. Maybe it was funny. I don't know. I seen this today. Article, Business Today. I regret moving to Canada, Delhi man says, calls Canadian life a scam, urges Indians to stay home. And I said, good advice. And, I think the immigration thing might take care of itself, but you have to make it a little uncomfortable, and it basically regulates itself. When you're in a country that is overly generous, it's just like if you own a restaurant and you get a homeless person coming to the back door and you give them a nice meal. Next, you're going to have a whole lineup of people. So you want to be, donate to your food bank, but that's it, And the same goes with government subsidies towards like asylum, migrants. First, it's unsustainable, and second, they're going to call their family back home and say, come on, it's all clear. You get a hotel room, all this and that. So, yeah, I think you'll see a lot of people going back to the homeland, which they should. Make India great. Make wherever great. There's Ben Shapiro again. He's getting kind of panned over this video. It's funny. And here's that Toronto Star article. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre called Doug Ford to ask for his help in the upcoming election. But the premier told him he would be too busy governing Ontario. And then I said, it's not you, it's me, Pierre. Like, because he's kind of like saying, oh, I don't want to go out with you. So, it's kind of weird. Maybe they just don't like each other. That could be it. I mean, simple as that. There's no obligation for Doug Ford to help Pierre. But it does say something a little, because let's say Pierre wins and he has a majority government, he can make life a little miserable for Doug Ford if he remembers, hey, that little fat guy never helped me become prime minister. I'm going to remember that. So Doug Ford either he's being controlled and he's being told not to help Poilievre, or he doesn't believe Poilievre will win, so he'd rather ingratiate himself with the winner. Who knows? I don't know. But they don't seem to like each other. But to be fair, I don't believe Doug Ford helped Aaron O'Toole either. He said he wanted to stay neutral with Aaron O'Toole, so it's just it looks like he's just bought by the globalists. That's all. And then the last post, almost the second last. This is on a personal note, and a local note in Sarnia, of the effects of this elbows up bullshit that's gripping our country. And it's just going to really lead us to destruction. You can do all the other stuff, like get into negotiations with Europe on joining defense partnerships. You can do all that without being elbows up dicks. So anyway, today, two people came into my dad's restaurant, and they're not a MAGA restaurant at all. Like they don't agree with basically anything I say, so I wouldn't punish them for any of my views, because they make fun of me more than anybody else, which is fine. I don't give it. We get along otherwise. So, two customers threw a hissy fit and left because Fox News was playing on the TV. So the news is playing, but no sound. It's just so people are eating and they can look at the TV and say, "Oh, there's a video," and watch it while they're. And sometimes we have it on Fox. Sometimes he has it on CNN. Sometimes it's on CTV. It just depends, right? Anyway, it was on Fox, and they threw a hissy fit and left because it was playing. And my dad was sitting at a table with some customers, and the server pointed him out, and the people got up and started yelling, and they were like, and he was saying like, "I'll change the channel," and it was too late. They were too offended, so they left. It was kind of odd, and I happened to be there. I was like wondering what was going on, and so it was nice. It was weird seeing I seen so much Trump derangement syndrome on video on the internet, and it was weird seeing it live in real life. And I didn't have a chance to record it, unfortunately. And then they were so triggered and upset about the incident they had to write about it on Facebook. So I'm not on Facebook, but some of my friends sent this to me to show my dad, and I started laughing. I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious. But this is kind of weird because this is how people are thinking now. And if it stays at this level, maybe we can laugh about it. But if it gets further, it's going to get weird. So this is what they wrote on Facebook after. And they like the restaurant. They like the food. So it's like we're welcoming. That restaurant welcomes everybody. Okay, it's probably one of the most welcoming places. Anyway, so this is what they wrote. And that's, they're trying to hurt the business, which is, kind of like back in the COVID days, people were trying to do that to the businesses that weren't down with the program. They're trying to hurt the business, like boycott them. And so this is what we got here. Tonight, Dan and I... Okay, I'm going to read this. Tonight, Dan and I went to our favorite diner. And again, this happened before. So, okay, now they were saying they had the patience, but this is the second time it happened. Okay. All right. Tonight, Dan and I went to our favorite diner. And again, Fox News was on the 2 TVs. A Canadian diner in the middle of a scary time. I'm not scared. Are you scared? I'm not scared. I think I'm not scared at all. All right, scary time. So this is how people are thinking right now. It's scary. I wonder where we got that from. So, a Canadian diner in the middle of a scary time. Geez, that sounds like a horror movie or something. I asked the server, and she pointed to the owner. I spoke up. I said, "We are leaving." And I said, why? The owner tried to appease us. So I will give him another chance, but for today, I'm also elbows up. You're also ass up. Anyway, that's crazy. Let's just hope it stays at that. But if you're triggered over a TV channel, then prepare to be triggered again. That's all I can say. Oh, man. I had such a good laugh when I saw that. Sorry. And our last post. A couple last posts, and then we'll go. Okay, I was wrong. I thought Maxime Bernier from PPC was going to go on Rogan, but he didn't. He went on some other dog. But the guy has quite a few followers, so it was worth him going. But he went on Florida Patrick Bet-David, who's got quite a following, and this is the one Pierre didn't want to go on. Just too chicken to go on. So Patrick Bet-David says, I respect any candidate who's not afraid of sitting down with anyone. Trump won in 2024 because he was fearless. Kamal was afraid and asked for questions in advance. Just had a great sit down with Maxime Bernier from Canada, fearless and extremely impressive. All right, I'll have to check that out. Next and the last. Poilievre and CPC base thought Trudeau bad and some basic bitch fiscal conservative was enough to save a country that was freezing bank accounts of peaceful protesters, arresting pastors, and people who criticize drag queens. Honestly, think about how stupid that is. Yeah, so that's kind of the theme, is how basically the conservatives have really failed to catch fire with their base and with, like, not just their base, but with the broad Canadian public. Even those people that don't vote aren't really probably couldn't care less about the Conservative Party. So they failed. It's going to be a big reckoning if they lose this election. That's all I can say. Even if the Liberals just get a minority, it's still going to be a big reckoning. So that's where we'll leave things. We'll see how things go. Lots of fun stuff. Not boring, that's for sure. All right. Well, thanks for joining, and we'll talk to you later. We'll see you again on Monday. Talk to you then.